welcome back, and today we are doing a variation of Julia Child's 40 clove garlic chicken. Instead of doing a whole chicken, we're going to be doing chicken pieces, and instead of 40 cloves, we'll probably be doing more like 20 or 25. But we're going to start with 2 pounds of chicken. And it's up to you what you want to use. I prefer to do a skin on bone-in chicken because it's going to give you the most juicy, very tender, very flavorful meat, especially because we're going to be putting this in the oven. But by request of hubby, we are doing a half and half. So today I've got boneless, skinless chicken thighs, and I've also got bone-in skin on drumsticks. And it all starts with the brine. Now the brine is extremely important, so don't skip this part. It only takes about 45 to 60 minutes, but what it's going to do is make sure that chicken is flavorful and tender. Start with 3 cups of warm water and add in 2 tablespoons each of soy sauce, olive oil, sugar, and kosher salt. And all you're going to do is cover the chicken. You really don't have to brine any longer than 90 minutes. That will give you sufficient flavor in it. Make sure all the chicken is happy and chilling in a bath. Then cover it up. And you're good to go. You can prepare the rest of your stuff. Well, you can't have garlic clove chicken without lots of garlic. So this is one of my least favorite things to do. I did hear on Martha Stewart that if you take 2 bowls that are the same size and put the garlic inside and shake it up vigorously, it is supposed to basically peel it for you. So we're going to try it. Look out below! Alright, so it looks like I didn't do it quite enough because you still have all that garlic there. But what it tends to do is take out all of the excess paper, onion skin, and make it easier for you to peel the garlic. So I'm going to enlist the help of my sous chef, and I will see you in a little bit. So our chicken's been brining for about 90 minutes to an hour. So pull it out of the brine and onto this paper towel to soak up any of that excess. And of course, you always want to be careful with chicken because it's got all kinds of fun, exciting things to make you sick. So make sure that you clean up after yourself when you're doing this. And then just season generously with your kosher salt and fresh ground black pepper. I always prefer to have the fresh ground because it has a better flavor to it. I try to allow some time for that. Make sure we get both sides. All right, now this chicken is seasoned on both sides. We're going to take it over and get started with our garlic. So in the pan, I put in a tablespoon of butter, and we're going to put 2 to 3 tablespoons of olive oil. 1, 2, 3. And let this melt down and combine. And in this, we are going to saute those cloves of garlic. And I used 2.5 cloves of garlic for this. I mean, the more garlic, the better. So if you take a look, it is gorgeous. I mean, look at how huge these things are. I have no idea what the size of the bulb wasn't that big, but the clove is huge. So we are going to pop this into the olive oil and butter mixture. And you're going to saute it until the garlic turns a light brown. You don't want it to be too brown, you just want it to have a golden color. So just continue to simmer it. And this will take you anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. And this amazing aroma is going to come from this as the garlic, the butter, and the olive oil come together. All right, after a few minutes of being browned in the olive oil and the butter, the garlic looks amazing. So what you're going to do is spoon everything out. You don't want it in there when you put the chicken in. So put it back into the container that you had it in. Make sure to get every last piece out. And remember, you don't want the garlic to be totally dark brown. You want it to just have a golden color to it. If you find that you don't have enough olive oil in the pan, feel free to add just a little bit. It's always easier to add more than take out. So I'm getting close, but that's what your garlic should look like. It's got a little bit of browning on it. It's not too dark or else it gets kind of, bitter tasting. So set that aside, and now it's time for the chicken. So in this olive oil and butter mixture that now has this amazing garlic thing going on, you're going to put all of that chicken. So if you decide to go with the bone-in skin-on chicken, make sure that you put it on skin side down, and you want that to sear. If it is skinless, then you're in luck. You don't have to worry about what side to put it on. So I have actually preheated my oven now to 350 degrees because once it's browned in here, we're gonna pop it in there after a few little tricks. So we are going to put it, remember that both sides have been seasoned with kosher salt and pepper. So I'm gonna put it in, and this is always my freaky part because I don't like oil. Yeah. Okay. And give it space in the pan to move around. Now that the chicken's in there, we're going to season with herbes de Provence. So this is herbes de Provence with lavender in it. And I'm going to season pretty generously on top. I use about, in the recipe, it calls for perhaps a tablespoon. I think I use half a tablespoon on one side and then another half on the other. So go ahead and season up. It's a mild flavor and it's a gorgeous flavor when it opens up, especially with the garlic. And just let it sit until the chicken is browned. So how do you know the chicken is browned? So glad you asked. And it's something I learned the hard way. Basically, you want to wait until the chicken releases itself in the pan. So if you're trying to like pull it off there and it's tearing, and it's not ready. So just let it sit on the medium-high until it releases easily from the pan, and then you're good to go. All you're gonna do is turn it over, season the other side, and then we're gonna pop it in the oven. So I'm gonna let this sit, let it brown, and I'll see you on the flip side. We're gonna check on our chicken and see if it releases from the pan. And we're good. So the chicken is nicely browned on one side. So as I turn these all over, I'm gonna season the other side with the herbes de Provence. I'm always a little bit heavy-handed with herbes de Provence just because I love the flavor of it. It's so fresh and it's so springy and it's so summery, so it's perfect for this time of year. There you go. So everything is nicely browned, and I'm going to take another half a tablespoon probably, because it's definitely not a teaspoon. And just generously go all over the chicken. Yeah, a little bit extra. La la, choo choo. And let that cook down for another minute or so. And then what we're gonna do is add the garlic cloves back in before we pop it into the oven. So again, I preheated my oven to 350 degrees, and I'll put the chicken in there. And you're gonna wanna cook it for about 20 to 25 minutes, or until the juices run clear. So, in about that time, you are gonna be ready. Now you do have an option here, you can make a pan sauce. And the pan sauce is super easy, and we'll do that after this comes on out. I can't remember if I mentioned this earlier, but because it's going to the oven, please make sure that you are not using a Teflon pan. You should be using either stainless steel or cast iron, because it's going to in the oven, and those other stuff can't go in there. So taking that yummy super garlic deliciousness from earlier and popping it back into the pan, just like so. And you know what? I'm just going to sneak a little bit of herbes de Provence right on top. And I'm going to pop the whole thing into the oven. So before we go on in, there you go. That's what it looks like right now. You pop it in there. And we're done for now. So 20 to 25 minutes until the juices run clear, and you are good to go. So in that time, you can get ready for your pan sauce. Or just hang out. Okay, it's been 25 minutes and the chicken is ready. It's out, and here is how it's looking. Amazing. And I'm just gonna make a simple pan sauce to go along with it. So now that you've completed this, you can actually just bring this to a table and make sure that you put a trivet underneath it. But you can also make a pan sauce. So what we'll do is we'll take out each of these little pieces and set them into the serving dish. Make sure I get all that garlic out of there. And then I'm going to turn the stove back on to medium-high. I'm going to add a couple ingredients. Pretty easy, just 4 ingredients. I've got 1 tablespoon of flour to thicken it up. I've got half a cup each of white wine and, totally forgot what I was gonna say, chicken broth, and then juice of half a lemon. So I'm starting to reduce the pan juices, and I'm just gonna dust the flour in there and work it in with my flat whisk. And that sauce is gonna thicken up really nicely. Because it has all the juices from the chicken, it's got the salt, it's got the pepper in it, it's got the herbs de Provence and that butter and the olive oil. And then I'm gonna take, now that it's boiling and nice and hot, I'm gonna deglaze it with a little bit of the white wine. And let that reduce on down. And so with each one, you want to keep reducing it to make sure your sauce is not going to be too thin. And it smells amazing. Turn my heat up just a little bit more. Okay, I've got that one half cup of chicken broth that's going in there. And then finally, the juice of half a lemon. And that is just going to brighten up the flavors. That citrus. Now what you can do while this is going on is take your chicken, if it's an oven-proof dish, if you want, put it back in the oven so it's warming while you're making the pan sauce. In the meantime, oh! Super hot, came out of the oven. Totally forgot about that, so beware. All right, so we are all done. We're about to put everything together. Never forget to use your little mitts, and if you forget to use your mitts, find your burn gel. So I put a little bit of burn gel here, we're good to go. And the chicken was heating in the oven, so I'm gonna use my mitts. And there you go. And we're gonna take that pan sauce and just drizzle it right over. Give it a quick stir. And then we're gonna pour it right over. And that's why I love to serve this with French bread, because you can sop up all of that crazy goodness. And there you go. All set to go. So I have some French bread all set here, and all I'm going to do is spoon some up because it's just, gosh, you never want to serve something without trying it. I'm going to get one of these drumsticks. I'm going to put that over here. Get a tiny bit of sauce and drizzle it right on over. Maybe add a little lemon on top. I've got my bread. So we're going to cut in, and you can see it's perfectly cooked all the way to the bone. There's no redness. So you've got a perfect piece of chicken right there. And that garlic is so soft and juicy. You can just take it and put it right on your bread. Okay, so a little bit of chicken. A little bread with garlic. That is hot. And so mighty. All I need is a little white wine. Alright, well that is your garlic clove chicken. Don't forget to use a pan that is oven safe. Don't forget to use your mitts. Don't forget your burn gel if you need it. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.